What's up, thirsty souls? It's been a while. Welcome back. Today we are doing our second Tanya class, which I've wanted to do for a while. First of all, it's been a while, and there's so much I want to tell you guys. I had a really inspiring moment last night. You guys know that I love sharing inspiring moments. Also, I'm in a Renaissance, I'm in a 16th century / early 17th century poetry class, and I wanted to show you. Every time I read something so beautiful, I'm like, oh, thirsty souls, I have to read it to them. So if you know it, you know it, and if you don't, you don't. Okay, it's just so beautiful. First of all, John Donne. I know this is not Torah related, but I do think that beautiful poetry is divinely inspired. So it kind of counts. It's called, if I could only, I found it. It's called A Valediction, Forbidden Mourning by John Donne, who is a Renaissance / late medieval poet who is so cool. I just want to read this to you guys. Dull, sublunary lovers' love, whose soul is sense, cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, that's it for poetry. Now we're doing Tanya. First of all, I just want to tell you guys, because my dad is so cool and awesome, and I love him so much, and also my mom, but this has to do with my dad. Last night, or I think it was 2 nights ago, I was like struggling with something, and I wanted to do something that I knew I probably shouldn't do, so I obviously told my dad, because I'm a loser. No, I'm kidding. Because I know he has amazing advice, and I told him, I was like, I just want to do this, like, it's nothing. I was like, it's just something simple, like, it won't have a big effect, like, whatever, who cares? And he goes to me, he really shook me, because, like, he said something that I knew, and by the way, this is why I love poetry. First of all, can I just tell you something about poetry before I tell you what my dad said? Poetry is so beautiful because it's like, when you're reading it, you're like, I felt that my whole life, like, I felt that all the time, but I've never actually had the capacity to say it. Like, I don't know how to say it. It's like a baby not being able to talk. It's like this annoying gap between your mind and your mouth. It's like, how the hell do I say that eloquently? And poets just have this, like, seventh sense. I don't know what it is. It's something beautiful. Anyways, my dad was doing that last night, and he was saying something that I was feeling and knowing and ignoring. Like I was lying to myself, like as if it wouldn't matter. And he goes to me, Baba, you cannot outsmart God. He said, we live by halacha for a reason. He said, that's how I raise you. We live our lives by halacha. That's how we live. We have a strict legal moral code written by God himself. That is how we live our lives, halacha. He said, Baba, don't ever think you can outsmart God. Hashem made halacha for a reason, because it works. And then he got up, said goodnight, and left my room. And that was like, whoa. I don't know. I just wanted to share that. I thought it was so moving. He was like, you just can't outsmart God. Don't think you can outsmart God. Every time you try to justify or like, no, it's fine. It's just something small. Like, doesn't matter. Halacha. You do not cut corners, ever. My father said to me, I've stayed safe because I've never cut corners. I follow halacha. He said, Baba, don't cut corners. Just don't lie to yourself. Just don't be in denial. And I was like, that's so interesting. I lied to myself. I caught myself lying to myself as my father said that. So to all the teenagers / young adults out there, don't be afraid to ask your parents' advice. I do that way too often. Maybe you shouldn't do as much as I do. Anyways, back to Tanya. So last time we spoke about something really important, which is don't hate yourself, don't freak out if you, well, basically this is talking to humanity, because we're a generation of external mastery and not internal mastery. We don't, our emotions and our thoughts don't always follow up with our values. Like, for example, you don't want to do something good, you want to do something bad. Or you're davening, you're praying, and the weirdest, most inappropriate thought pops up into your head. The Alter Rebbe says, the Alter Rebbe who is you know how annoying it is that you guys can't answer back to me? Mega annoying. The first of the 7 Lubavitch Rebbes who wrote the Tanya. Obviously, Chaim Miller's. I do this every video. This is a moment where I forget what I'm saying. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe said, hey, don't worry about it. You have 2 souls. Let me introduce you to your 2 souls. You have a Nefesh Elokis, which is your thirsty soul, and you have your Nefesh HaBahamis. I promised you guys I would speak slower. You have your animal soul. And your thirsty soul, which is the nefesh elokis, your godly soul, wants all things spiritual. Your animal soul wants all things like physical, not necessarily bad or destructive. Goes to the bathroom, eats, sleeps, exercise. It's really the bridge between the spiritual and the physical. Because remember, Hashem invested himself within you. That is your neshama. That is your thirsty soul. Creator invested himself within creation. This is also why you have the power of life and death. You can bring life into the world, which is a divine ability, capability, and you can also take life, which is a godly ability. Who else can do that besides God? He invested his own powers within humanity. So it's not only that you're inherently special and holy and that you can be close to God because you have him within you, it's also, by the way, if you're wondering why the door is open, is because like one of the first times I just started cooking. I should not interrupt myself right now, but whatever. I just started cooking and I put something into the oven. I was so proud of myself. It took me a long time. I left it there, completely forgot about it, and I was sitting upstairs and I'm like, is there, like, what's burning? I don't remember cooking anything. Came down, everything was burnt, and now I'm hungry and I have to, like, air out the house. Anyways, so you have your two souls. Your thirsty soul, which is your nefesh elokis, which is why we call this a thirsty soul, because I want you to pay more attention to your godly soul so Mashiach will come. And then you have your animal soul. So again, it's not only that you're holy and blah, 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 blah. It also means that you have divine capabilities. But again, your nefesh elokis, which wants to be close to God, it's like a fire. It's like the flame of a candle. It's always ascending heavenward. It always wants to go back to its creator. It cannot do anything without a body. So a nefesh elokis without a nefesh bahamis is useless. At the same time, a body without a nefesh elokis, without a godly soul, is just a lump of flesh. It's a dead body. That's what we see when someone passes away. The soul ascends back to where it came from. So that was what we discussed last time in Mexico. When I was in Mexico, that's what we discussed last time. Coffee break. Yes, it's 6 p.m. and I'm drinking a coffee because I have 2 papers to write. Okay. So that was our recap. And the Alter Rebbe said, know what you're capable of. In life, it's very useful to know what you're capable of, because asking for too much of yourself will make you crazy and hate yourself, but not doing enough will make you crazy and hate yourself. So just remember what you're capable of. You're not capable of controlling your emotions. You're not capable of controlling what comes into your head. What are you capable of? You're capable of controlling, of deciding whether you meddle on that thought. You're capable of deciding if you want to keep that emotion in your heart. For me, let's say, for an example, a friend. I get jealous for a minute. I can either like meddle in that jealousy and marinate, and she has more than I do, and I should have that, I work harder. Or I could say, hey, that's a weird feeling. I don't like it. That doesn't really reflect who I am. I'm going to let it go. That's the life of a Benoni, which is what the Tanya is all about. You're a Benoni. Again, we no longer, this is one of the most harrowing parts of visiting Europe. We no longer have tzaddikim. The Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away 20-something years ago. The last great that passed away was Eli Wiesel. We don't have people like that anymore because Mashiach is coming. Again, Hashem doesn't want internal mastery. In the times of the Baal Shem Tov, in the times of the Alter Rebbe, the first of the 7 Lubavitcher Rebbes, we had people praying for 14 hours a day. We had people who were learning for the other 12 hours of the day, whatever it is. I don't do math. 12 plus 14. We don't have that anymore. I can hardly sit and learn for more than an hour and a half. I get antsy. I can't pray for more than 45 minutes or else I go crazy. This is all about action. This is what we're going to talk about now. So that was what we did last time. You are not, so just one more thing that we have to recap on. That again, you know how we were created in the image of God? Well, it's more than that. It's not just that we were created in the image of God, that Hashem breathed a nefesh, ruach chaim, something, I don't remember the words, that God breathed a living soul into Adam and Eve and blah, 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 whatever. It's also that God has 10 spheros. This is very important for you guys to know, which is why I want to go over it, and we'll get to the new stuff in a minute. Hashem has 10 spheros. Again, he has 3 intellectual and 7 emotional, and we are created in his image. We too have 3 intellectual sephiros, which are attributes, and 7 emotional. Now, again, even your spouse, if they know you like the back of their own hand, they still cannot know what's going on in your head. That's your personal, intimate world that no one has any in on. No one knows what you're thinking. God also has that part of him. The 7 emotional attributes is how God interacts with the world. That's how you interact with people, through your 7 emotions. Now we'd explain, now what was the reason you can't control your emotions? Because your nefesh habahamis cannot be completely controlled. You cannot completely transform it into good, which is a tzaddik. A tzaddik, a completely righteous person, completely transforms his nefesh habahamis, his animal soul, into a godly soul, which I can't do, which you can't do, so don't expect it, because then you're going to go crazy and hate yourself. That is the, what's it called? The what's it called? Another coffee break. 1 second. Now, we are going to start in chapter 35. Please forgive me because I'm going to be 10% battery. I do this to myself every time. We are going to be jumping around because I don't want to go through the whole chapter 35 because it's long and we don't need to read every word. Okay. Vihine. The Tosefes Beor Tevas Lasoso. The Alter Rebbe speaking again to people who need advice. Let's clarify further the term so that you can do it. In Devarim, in Deuteronomy 30:14, Moshe is about to pass away, and he says one of the most famous verses of all time. For this body of commandments which I am commanding you this day is not concealed from you, nor is it far away. Rather, the thing is very much within reach for you, in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. La so. This pasuk, this verse, is the foundation of the entire Tanya. I'm going to repeat that. That kikarov elacha hadavar ma'od b'ficha u'b'lvavcha la'asoso is the entire foundation for this book, the Tanya, which changed the Jewry and Judaism forever. That's important to know as well. V'gam lahavin. So the Alter Rebbe is saying, what does this mean so that you can do it? V'gam lahavin. We also have to understand me'at miz'er tachlis b'rias habeinonim. Why the heck were we created? If we're going to be struggling our whole lives, why did God create us? We didn't ask for this. We have to struggle with ourselves. We have to get married and have weird thoughts, and have siblings and have weird thoughts, and have coworkers and have weird thoughts. What is this, like a cruel game? What is this? It really, by the way, for people who think deeply and feel deeply, and I think everyone does, I just think some people don't allow themselves to, the people who don't, it can really be excruciating to feel like a certain kind of person and then feel another way. It's like, what was that? Like that's not me. And the Alter was addressing that, which we also talked about last time. So why were you created? Tachlas b'rias habeinonim. What is the reason for creation? You. Why were you created? V'yarinas nishmoseim la'olam hazeh. Why was your neshama brought down into this world? Yes, you have a godly soul. It's called your thirsty soul. Lihislavish b'nefesh habahamis. In order to be enclosed in this body, all of a sudden this beautiful neshama, this godly soul, which was once basking in God's light, now has to be enclosed in a body which needs to go to the bathroom and exercise and sleep, and sometimes it cries and sometimes it yells and it goes crazy, blah blah blah. Since you're never going to transform your animal soul. Remember, we're not living in the 1500s. We're not living in the 16, 17, 8, even the 1900s. There were people like that. Again, when I went to Poland on this Holocaust trip with my parents and my siblings, when we went to, I believe it was either the Łódź or the Warsaw Ghetto. The Warsaw, what's it called? What's it called where people are buried? Oh my gosh, what the hell? The Warsaw gravesite, whatever. There was a Rebbe, a spiritual leader, in every tiny little town. There were tzaddikim, righteous people who learn day and night. We don't have that anymore. And the Alter Rebbe is saying, why are we created then? So why were you brought down into this world? Hashem chose you to come down into this world, into a body. The way you look, the way you sound, the way you talk, God chose all of it. And why were you brought down? If God forbid, you're just going to battle in vain. You're going to battle with yourself your whole life. And I love this part. Utehi zos nechamasam. Let this be their consolation. By the way, we're in chapter 35. Okay. Now we're going to get a little bit, a little bit Lurianic over here, a little Kabbalistic. Now God's will is the source of all life for all the worlds and creations. For example, if God, the only reason the world is around, the only reason I'm around or you're around is because God wanted, Ritzono, He wanted to create you. God's will, the fact that He wanted the world, is the reason the world's around. Sheyored aleim al yedei tzimtzumim rabim. And this source energy only passes down to the worlds and creations through many diminishments. Another word you're going to need to know in Chabad Hasidus is a tzimtzum, and I'll explain it. In order for God to create the world, he had to contract his light. Creation and creator cannot be, the light of the creator, Hashem's complete light, could not come straight down into the world, or else there wouldn't be a world. It'd be impossible. So he created a tzimtzum, which is a contraction of his light. The Hester Panim Shel Ratzon Ha'Elyon Baruch Hu, and the hiding of God's face. And this is why we're constantly asking, where's God? Because of this tzimtzum, because of the fact that we can't see God. Hashem contracted himself, and now we human beings say, where the heck is God? This multiple downgrading of Hashem's light was necessary to make possible the existence of creation and blah 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 blah. Now we're going to get to, remember last time we spoke what we're not able to do? You cannot control the thoughts that come into your head, but you could control if you think about them. You cannot control how you feel all the time, but you can control how you react, and if you allow those emotions to control you. Now what can you do? La so-so. Remember, that is the foundational pasuk, the foundational verse of the Tanya. Masha ein kein ha-mitzvos. But this diminishment of light, this tzimtzum, remember, this tzimtzum is God's contraction of light. That's why when I go to Auschwitz, I'm like, where's God? I mean, that's not the only reason. It's also because 6 million Jews were killed there. But in general, we ask, where's God? Because God had this contraction of light, and now we can't see him. Ma shein kein ha-mitzvos. Shein pnimis ritzonei yisbarach. But this diminishment of light does not happen with mitzvos, which are the inner, undiluted will of Hashem. Sha'az, wait 1 second. Ki amitas, listen to this, is so beautiful. Ki amitas Hashem Elokim emasu yichudo v'achzuso. Since the reality of Hashem is non-dual oneness. What the Alter was trying to say is, our whole lives, we're like, where is God? Where is God? Does he exist? Does he care? Is he involved? And the Alter says, God had this tzimtzum, this contraction of light, but guess what? Do you want to find him? You can find him untouched and complete, undiluted. Essentially, you can find his essence in a mitzvah. You can actually experience God in a mitzvah. Guys, I swear to you, I'm not just saying this to convince you to do a mitzvah. When I sit at the Shabbos table with my family on a Friday night, I promise you, I see that yichudo. I see that oneness. What is Mashiach? It's just understanding and knowing that God is one. Even death for the people left behind is the worst thing in the world. For people who die, they're not necessarily going you can't go past God. God is everything. God is everywhere. You can get sucked into a black hole and go 5 billion years away. You're still within God's realm. Ritzono yisbarich, God's will. Hashem can decide right now that he doesn't want to have that ratzon anymore. He can close the world as if it never happened. Now, why is a mitzvah so important? Because you can access God completely in a mitzvah. And this is why the Lubavitcher Rebbe did not leave New York for 40 years. 40 years, the Lubavitcher Rebbe did not leave New York State. In fact, my father told me he only left Crown Heights once for a funeral of a great rabbi. Now, like poetry, it's like you have to be really talented to be able to say it, you have to be really skilled to have the same kind of magnitude of what something really is in your words. I don't know how to stress it. The fact that the Lubavitcher Rebbe sent out boys like my father just to rap tefillin on people, that's a mitzvah. This is what's so important and essential about Chabad Hasidus. The emphasis before this, before the birth of Hasidus, of Hasidic philosophy, the emphasis was on heaven. Who cares about the world? This is a hallway. It says, I think in the Mishnah, this is a hallway to heaven. Emphasis was on heaven. Heaven is holy, earth is not holy. After Chabad philosophy, we said, hey, you know what? You know those weird black things that you tie around your arm? They're holy. You can access God there. And I promise you guys, sitting at the Shabbos table, I promise you I can feel it. I could see it. If you want to know more about this Achdus, it's everything in life. It's the Mashiach. It's the Rebbe's everything. It's everything. Understanding that you're actually living within God, outside of God, with God. You sleep next to God. He helps you breathe. He helps you go to the bathroom, speak, everything. The fact that your brain works. This is yichudo v'achduso. Ein od milvado. There's nothing besides Hashem. This is everything. This is everything. This is why the Lubavitcher Rebbe did not leave for 40 years. He did not leave. And all he did basically was answer people's letters. He sent people on mitzvah campaigns. He basically, his life was helping people do mitzvahs. My parents were sent by the Lubavitcher Rebbe for 11 years to Oxford, England, just to help people do mitzvahs. My mother cooked for 200 students every Friday night. It's a mitzvah. Shabbos is a mitzvah. Now, I know it kind of seems crazy, like, oh my God, if I keep Shabbos, I'll really be able to see God. I promise you, you will. Maybe not the first time. When I'm sitting with my 8 siblings and my parents around the Shabbos table, I'm like, whoa, I can actually see it. And that's Mashiach. You can actually see it. You understand it. It's everywhere. If you want to really understand this more,